Today, we're diving into something that's way more than just a dry legal document. We're exploring a story of freedom. A single, really powerful court case from 1984 in India that managed to reach into the darkest corners of society and, honestly, change lives forever.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? Can a court's words, just written on a piece of paper, actually break physical and economic chains? Can a legal ruling really, truly set someone free? Stick with me because the answer is pretty incredible.
Okay, so to understand just how huge this case was, we first have to get a handle on the problem it was up against, a deeply, deeply entrenched system of injustice known as bonded labor.
So what are we really talking about when we say bonded labor? Well, imagine this. You need to borrow a little bit of money, maybe for a family emergency. But instead of a bank, you go to a local landowner. The interest rate is insane, and before you know it, you're forced to work in their fields to pay it off. The thing is, the debt, it never seems to go down. You can't leave, and worse, your children might end up inheriting your debt. That's bonded labor. It's a trap. I mean, it's basically a form of modern-day slavery.
And let's be absolutely clear about this. This isn't some kind of employment dispute. It is a profound violation of the most basic human rights you can think of: the right to liberty, to dignity, and to be free from forced labor.
All right, so into this pretty bleak picture steps an organization and a landmark case that was ready to challenge the whole system. Let's get into the specifics of Bandhua Mukti Morcha versus the Union of India. So here are the specs. The year is 1984. The place is the Supreme Court of India, and the subject wasn't just bonded labor, it was also about this really revolutionary idea called Public Interest Litigation, or PIL for short. This was a legal tool that basically allowed any citizen to bring a case to the court on behalf of people who couldn't: the poor, the oppressed, the voiceless.
And this brought up a massive question. Could the Supreme Court really use this tool to jump over all the usual legal hurdles and directly step in to free people who were trapped? I mean, was it really the court's job to become an active agent for social change like this?
So, did the court answer? Oh, you better believe it. Their ruling sent absolute shockwaves through India's legal and social fabric. This right here was the turning point.
The answer was a simple, powerful yes. The Supreme Court declared that it could and it would step in. It completely refused to just be a passive bystander while fundamental rights are being violated on such a massive scale.
So how'd they pull this off? Well, they used a powerful tool already in the Indian Constitution, Article 32. You can literally think of it like a constitutional direct hotline. It gives any citizen the right to go straight to the top, to the Supreme Court, if their fundamental rights are being crushed. The court basically said, this hotline is open to everyone and especially to the most vulnerable.
And you can hear the power of it in the court's own words. Any person wrongfully deprived of liberty can seek relief. Now, this wasn't just a legal opinion, it was a declaration of freedom. It meant that a bonded laborer wasn't just a debtor anymore, they were a person whose liberty had been stolen. And now, the highest court in the land was their direct line for help.
And you have to understand, the fallout from this ruling, it went way, way beyond the specific people in this one case. It created a legacy that completely reshaped the landscape of justice in India.
Seriously, don't underestimate this. This wasn't just a minor adjustment. It was a total game changer. It fundamentally changed the relationship between the courts and the people of India. Okay, so let's break down the big takeaways, right? First off, it created this rock-solid legal precedent against bonded labor. Second, it confirmed that anyone, you, me, anyone could use that hotline to the Supreme Court. Third, and this is the big one, it basically gave the court a green light to become an active player in social justice. And finally, it put rocket boosters on that tool of public interest litigation, making it one of the most powerful instruments for change in the country.
You can really see the transformation when you look at the before and after. Before this case, the court's role was, well, it was often more of a referee, limited in what it could do. Victims of these huge systemic problems had very few direct options. But after 1984, the court became an active agent for social justice. The most vulnerable people in the country gained a powerful and accessible ally.
So if there's one thing to really take away from all this, it's this. A court case isn't just words on paper. A legal precedent, a single landmark ruling, has the actual, real-world power to reach into society and start to dismantle systems of injustice that have been around for centuries. It can turn a principle into a reality. And that leaves us with one last question to think about.
If one legal precedent, built on the simple idea of liberty, could break the chains of bonded labor, what other modern injustices in any country are just waiting for their own landmark moment to challenge them?